Microsoft has ended its xCloud streaming service development on iOS, and it's looking like it's going to be Google Android only. So this was supposed to be Microsoft's Netflix moment, where they had a service where you pay a subscription fee and then you could play as many games as you wanted to, and it was going to be streaming based, so nothing that was going to be downloaded onto your device. And it's looking like as though it doesn't really fit with Apple's guidelines on iOS. And The Verge has written an article about this, so let's take a look at that. So The Verge writes, Apple confirms cloud gaming services like xCloud and Stadia violate App Store guidelines. Cloud gaming is shaping up to have a big moment on mobile starting next month with the launch of Microsoft's xCloud service, but iOS users are getting left out, and now we know exactly why. Apple won't allow these products because of strict Apple Store guidelines that make cloud services like xCloud and its competitor Google Stadia effectively impossible to operate on the iPhone. We already knew that there was some issue, likely App Store related, as to why Stadia wasn't available for Apple devices, and Microsoft's service would likely face a similar fate. It seemed even more likely that xCloud's fate on iOS was sealed yesterday when Microsoft cut off iOS testing for its xCloud app, well ahead of its September 15th launch date on Android. Nvidia's GeForce Now service is also similarly Android only when it comes to phones, even though that platform technically lets you access titles you already own. So here's the official Apple statement. The App Store was created to be a safe and trusted place for customers to discover and download apps, and a great business opportunity for all developers. Before they go on our store, all apps are reviewed against the same set of guidelines that are intended to protect customers and provide a fair and level playing field to developers. Our customers enjoy great apps and games from millions of developers, and gaming services can absolutely launch on the App Store as long as they follow the same set of guidelines applicable to all developers, including submitting games individually for review and appearing in charts and search. In addition to the App Store, developers can choose to reach all iPhone and iPad users over the web through Safari and other browsers on the App Store. So let's take a quick break and unpack all of that. So effectively what they're saying, it's a very non-statement, but Apple is basically saying, well, if you want to be on the App Store, you can, but you just got to follow all the rules. Effectively what is happening is that Microsoft cannot operate their own store in Apple's ecosystem. They cannot have an app where they have their own store inside their store. So if you have a store, you have to give a cut of the profits to Apple in the form of like DLC or something like that. So maybe all of the games could be DLC, but that's not how Microsoft's apps is supposed to work. You pay one subscription fee for the month, and then you're allowed to play as many games as you want. And in a way, that probably contradicts what Apple wants, because Apple wants a cut of at least a subscription fee, and probably also the time that people spend on the game is time that is not spent on a game on the Apple store. So I guess Apple is kind of just holding out for a better deal right now. This is their way to like push back and against all of these apps that try to have their own store and make money like outside of Apple's ecosystem. So let's get into what Microsoft has said. Here's the statement from a Microsoft spokesperson in full. Our testing period for the Project xCloud preview app for iOS has expired. Unfortunately, we do not have a path to bring our vision of cloud gaming with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate to gamers on iOS via the Apple App Store. Apple stands alone as the only general-purpose platform to deny consumers from cloud gaming and game subscription services like Xbox Game Pass, and it consistently treats gaming apps differently, applying more lenient rules to non-gaming apps even when they include interactive content. All games available in the Xbox Game Pass catalog are rated for content by independent industry ratings bodies such as the ESRB and regional equivalents. We're committed to finding a path to bring cloud gaming with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate to the iOS platform. We believe that the customer should be at the heart of the gaming experience, and gamers tell us they want to play, connect, and share anywhere, no matter where they are. We agree. So Microsoft also made a kind of non-statement. They never said that they violated any of the App Store guidelines. They put themselves in the position that they were right the whole time. And there is a lot to unpack here. So let's go through that now. The difference really between why Google has allowed their Microsoft's streaming service, and obviously Google Stadia as well, and why Apple won't allow, is because they have two different business models. Okay, so Apple, they sell hardware and they have an app store as their revenue base. So their app store, they created their hardware, they make money off the hardware, and now they want the same users to go and buy stuff from their app store, which makes them a ton of money every year, billions and billions of dollars. So if any, they can't have apps, or they don't want to have apps where people are chipping away at their profits and revenue and playing time. So the Microsoft app, the xCloud service, would indeed do all three if they were going to have like a subscription service outside of and that has a subscription, say, that they pay for outside of the App Store. So maybe there's some sort of negotiation there where Microsoft would give Apple 30%, but I think there would probably be more, because not more in terms of the cut, but more that Apple would demand from the app itself before they allow it to be on the App Store. And so and then the other thing was Google's revenue is driven from number of handsets sold, so that they can get as many people as they can to go and do a Google search on their handsets. That's why they allow their operating system to be on handsets everywhere, because they want to funnel people into Google and use their search, and that's how they make their revenue, from people searching, from people who play YouTube videos. So they have a different type of business model. They want to access as many people as possible. That's probably why they allowed the Microsoft xCloud, because they don't care about, even though it's competing with Google Stadia, they want to drive as many people onto their platform as possible, and they believe that's how they win the iPhone or mobile race. Now here's an interesting piece of information. Regardless, the key bit in that statement is including submitting games individually for review and appearing in charts and search. The way Stadia works today and the way xCloud will work next month is that you pay for access to the service itself, and that service then allows you to pay for access free games from the cloud. Those games are not stored on a local device in your home, unlike the Apple-approved Valve Steam Link app. Although Valve had its own set of troubles getting Steam Link approved on iOS. Right, so it's saying the reason that they allowed Steam onto the Apple App Store was that all of the games were purchased, but they're hosted on your own device, like a PC, for example. Therefore, they allowed that because you owned that piece of software. However, that's not really what Microsoft is doing. Microsoft is making a xCloud streaming service where the games are hosted on a remote device, on a remote service, and the Steam apps are actually on your own PC. So Apple says, well, you can stream from your own device, just not on a remote device. Now, we'll finish off with what the App Store guidelines actually are. So there's a little bit more reading, but bear with me. We'll get to all of these points because they're very important. So Apple is pretty explicit about all of this in the App Store guidelines, specifically section 4.2.7. 4.2.7, remote desktop clients. If your remote desktop app acts as a mirror of specific software or services rather than a generic mirror of the host device, it must comply with the following. The app must only connect to a user-owned host device that is a personal computer or dedicated game console owned by the user, and both the host device and client must be connected on a local and LAN-based network. B. Any software or services appearing in the client are fully executed on the host device, rendered on the screen of the host device, and may not use APIs or platform features beyond what is required to stream the remote desktop. C. All account creation and management must be initiated from the host device. D. The UI appearing on the client does not resemble an iOS or App Store view, does not provide a store-like interface, or include the ability to browse, select, or purchase software not already owned or licensed by the user. For the sake of clarity, transactions taking place within mirrored software do not need to use in-app purchase, provided the transactions are processed on the host device. E. Thin clients for cloud-based apps are not appropriate for the App Store. I'm not going to go through all of that with Microsoft's xCloud app, but essentially xCloud kind of fails on all of those points. This is easy for Apple to push back because they push back on every single other app like this. Definitely there is some sort of contentious issue where people are complaining about the fact that Apple is being hypocritical when they allow Netflix and allow these other type of subscription services, subscription apps on their device, where you can pay for Netflix outside on a web browser and then come back in to stream movies and such. And movies are not every single movies is individually rated by Apple, but games have to be individually rated by Apple because they're interactive. Gamers are pretty upset about this, and definitely so they should. And I don't really see Apple backing down from this. If Microsoft and Apple form a partnership together, maybe they will allow xCloud to be on their platform. So that's probably the way that they have to get it done. I don't really see another way. If Microsoft want to do it on their own, it's kind of like saying Microsoft is just walking into Apple's garden and just taking all their users and then getting all those Apple users to play their games. And Apple probably would not want that, if Apple were to bring a ton of their own if Microsoft were to bring a ton of their own users, maybe Apple would sit up and go, oh, okay, well, you're bringing all these people in. Okay, we want you on the iPhone. But that's a different matter. Apple feel like they have the clout and the muscle to kind of get what they want. So it's probably not going to happen. Google Stadia is not happening on iOS, so it seems as though that Microsoft's xCloud probably won't happen on iOS anytime soon. And this Apple don't mind. This creates an opportunity for Apple to make their own cloud gaming service. So Microsoft has a number of hiccups this fall, and it'll be interesting to see where they go on from here.